Hi all. Everything in my video is pulled from the public domain and I am using them under the Fair Use, Fair Dealings guidelines. Everything I say is my own opinion. You should look into this information for yourselves, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. All right, you guys, you so freaking owe me one. Okay, so I've been getting emails from people saying, you've put out like all these different videos about the debunking. Can't you all just put them together and hit the highlights? So guess what? Yes, that's right. I watched the damn thing again. I think I'm going to take the next coffee fund and make it an alcohol fund because I feel like I need it after that. But I'm trying to hit the highlights this time, so let's just get to it. Here we go. First up, what we have is what Megan said she knew and didn't know about the royal family.
I will say I went into it naively because I didn't grow up knowing much about the royal family. It wasn't.
And then this video surfaced.
Royal Highness, take one. Regularly scheduled program, which is titled The Royal Highness. I'm having people from Florida and Canada. Princess Cara, I thought I said no eating cookies in bed. Follow me, girls, for my party.
Now, maybe as a small child, she didn't know about the royal family, but the above photos you're looking at were taken when she was 15 years old. She was well aware of the royal family at that age. And of course, here she is with a picture holding a magazine with Kate on the cover. Don't tell people you don't know about the royal family when you did. Here's the next whopper.
You didn't do any research?
No. I've never looked up my husband online. I just didn't feel a need to because everything that I needed to know he was sharing with me, right? Everything that we thought I needed to know he was telling me.
So you didn't...
She also said she never Googled Harry, which of course, from this above, we also know is untrue. Next, she describes what happened when she was going to meet the Queen for the very first time.
Right, do you know how to curtsy? What? I said, do you know how to curtsy? I said, but it's your grandmother. He goes, it's the Queen. And I learned it very quickly. Right in front of the house. We just practiced and then walked in.
Harry practiced.
Yeah, and Fergie ran.
Now we are aware that that is absolutely untrue. She arranged through a friend to go to a place called the Fry Rose Tea Cottage Tea Room in Pasadena, California. She did this while she was dating Harry so that she would know how to curtsy, when to curtsy, how to drink tea, how to hold the fork. She was prepping because she wanted to make a good impression. Then Megan made this shocking revelation.
3 days before our wedding, we got married. No one knows that, but we called the Archbishop and we just said, look, this spectacle is for the world, but we want our union between us. So like the vows that we have framed in our room are just the two of us in our backyard with the Archbishop of Canterbury, and that was the piece that...
Just the three of us.
Just the
three of us.
Just the three of us.
You know, the wedding...
Well, that statement really irritated everybody because they felt, why did we give all of this money for the wedding if you had gotten married in a backyard 3 days earlier? The Church of England has a lot of rules. You have to have 2 witnesses. They didn't have 2 witnesses. It has to be, in a certain venue. So they left everybody wondering what the hell was going on. And of course, yesterday, their rep has now confirmed that the backyard wedding was not a legal ceremony to try to quell the backlash. Now we have the next revelation.
This was a really big story at the time that you made Kate cry. Now you're saying you didn't make Kate cry. Kate made you cry.
Now, as we all know already from Omid Scobie's book, there was no crying at the dress fitting. Here's the next one.
Can I go and have lunch with my friends? No, you're oversaturated, you're everywhere. It would be best for you to not go out to lunch with your friends. I go, well, I haven't left the house in months. The house twice in 4 months. I'm everywhere, but I am nowhere.
Okay, I'm not reposting all of those photos, but if you look on one of my videos, I already debunked that by showing pictures of her every single month during her entire pregnancy when she said she never left the house. Here's the next whopper.
They didn't want him to be a prince or a princess, not knowing what the gender would be, which would be different from protocol.
Well, that's an out lie because she knows that per a letters patent that was put out by George V, it says the great-grandchildren of the monarch are not princes and princesses except for the eldest son of the Prince of Wales because he's next in line to the throne. And she was also aware of it because of the next thing she said.
Member of color in this family not being titled in the same way that other grandchildren would be. You know, the other piece of that conversation is there's a convention, I don't know if it's George V or George VI convention, that when you're the grandchild of the monarch, so when Harry's dad becomes king, automatically Archie and our next baby would become prince or princess or whatever they're going to be.
So even though she's aware of the rule, she's insisting that it's because her child is a child of color that he's not getting the title. But here's what I think it boils down to just for her.
He wasn't going to receive security.
Who tells you that?
I heard a lot of it through Harry and then other parts of it through conversations with family members.
Then she said that that title is his birthright and they're trying to take it from him, even though she understands the rules. Listen to this.
Yeah, but also it's not their right to take it away.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think even with that convention I'm talking about, while I was pregnant, they said they want to change the convention for Archie. Well, why?
Did you get an answer?
No.
You still don't have an answer.
No.
So here she's claiming they want to change the convention for Archie, but she's not saying how they want to change it, who said it, the context of the conversation. It's just generic info. And here's the next lie.
Like, things started to change when you and Harry decided that you were not going to take the picture that had been a part of the tradition for years. And
We weren't asked to share. That's also part of the spin that was really damaging, I thought.
So she claims that no one asked for a photo. And then she says,
there was there a specific reason why you didn't want to be a part of that tradition?
Very scared of having to offer up our baby, knowing that they weren't going to be kept safe.
so now we know because they wouldn't give him a title and they wouldn't do what she wanted, she refused the photo. Next up.
So we had in tandem the conversation of he won't be given security, he's not going to be given a title. And also concerns and conversations about how dark his skin might be when he's born.
What?
And
Who is having that conversation with you? What?
so,
There is a conversation. Hold up.
there's
Stop
several
right now.
there's several conversations.
There's a
about it.
conversation with you
With Harry.
about how dark your baby is going to be?
Potentially, and what that would mean or look like.
Ooh.
Well, I find those statements very interesting because, again, you don't know the context of the conversation. But if you look above, it's actually starting to come out that it was Harry who initiated the conversation about what the skin tone would be. And the crux of the conversation was that they could finally get rid of the pasty white skin that Harry has if he has a child with Meghan. So if that's the way the conversation went, if that's the crux of the conversation, then no, that's not racist. And that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. And just so you know, my neighbor was over here last night and she's Indian and her husband was white. And I asked her about it and she said, oh, husband and I always had those conversations. At which time I had to remind her that she's now a racist. Next up, you hear Harry's perspective about what's going on with his security.
Short notice that security was going to be removed. By this point...
What security did you have at the time that was going to be removed?
We had our UK security. Their justification is a change in status.
So Harry, even though he's had his entire life paid for by the UK taxpayers, felt that even though they weren't going to be working royals anymore and they were leaving the UK, that the UK taxpayers should still pay for his security. And now you hear them talk about how other members of the royal family had the roles that they want. Listen up.
We never left the family, and we only wanted to have the same type of role that exists, right? There's senior members of the family, and then there are non-senior members. As we said specifically, we're stepping back from senior roles to be just like several. I mean, I can think of so many right now who are all their royal highnesses, prince or princess, duke or duchess, who earn a living, live on palace grounds, can support the queen if and when called upon. So we weren't reinventing the wheel here. We were saying...
So as I stated in my previous video about the debunking, they wanted a life like Princess Eugenie and her sister. But the thing is, they work regular jobs and they don't make money off their royal connections. They do not get full-time security and they have to pay rent where they live. All things that they left out of this interview. Next.
There's a reason that these tabloids have holiday parties at the palace. They're hosted by the palace. The tabloids are.
And as you can see, the royal correspondents have already said that that is absolutely not true. They are not called to the palace for holiday parties. Here we go with the next lie.
Things that you couldn't do, but unlike what you see in the movies, there's no class on how to speak, how to cross your legs, how to be royal. There's none of that training. That might exist for other members of the family. That was not something that was offered to me.
So nobody tells you anything?
No.
Nobody prepares you?
No, I mean, nobody.
And we're also aware that that's a lie. Samantha the Panther Cohen, was assigned to Meghan to teach her the ropes. She had all the training, which included kidnapping training, which is why they don't wear seatbelts. And here's the next one.
Point where my family literally cut me off financially, and I had to afford security for us.
Wait, hold up, wait a minute. Your family cut you off?
Yeah, in the first quarter of 2020. But I've got what my mum left me, and without that, we would not have been able to do this.
And before anybody starts feeling really sad for Harry being cut off from his family, his mom left him $16 million. The man is not broke. He can afford everything.
And yet, Meghan shared with us that there was a conversation with you about Archie's skin tone. Mm-hmm. What was that conversation?
That conversation I'm never going to share. But at the time it was awkward. I was a bit shocked.
Can you tell us what the question was?
No, I'm not comfortable sharing that.
Okay.
But that was right at the beginning. Yeah, what would the kids look like?
Yeah, what would the kids look like?
But that was right at the beginning when she wasn't going to get security, when members of my family were suggesting that she carries on acting because there's not enough money to pay for her and all this sort of stuff. Like, there was some real obvious signs before we even got married that this was going to be really hard.
So in conclusion...
So if you caught that, Meghan is saying that the conversation took place while she was pregnant with Archie. Harry said the conversation took place before they were married. And here comes the next lie.
Sticking him on the back of the bicycle in his little baby seat and take him on these bike rides is something which I never was able to do when I was young.
Obviously, these pictures speak for themselves. He's been on bike rides with his family. I don't know what he's talking about. Now, I'm not going to go online and pull the clip again, but let's be honest. She said that they took her passport and her keys and she couldn't go anywhere. But it's now been shown that during that time frame, she took 13 foreign trips. Obviously, she was not trapped. And the last two video clips have to do with the last bit of lies. Here we go.
Just sitting there and then going, okay, well, go upstairs and put your makeup bag in your sink and try to pull yourself together.
So why? That statement, by the way, pertains to when she told Harry that night that she was suicidal. So first off, we know for a fact she didn't do her own makeup. Her friend who did her makeup for her wedding was in town for the weekend, was putting up posts, all the time. So when she said she went upstairs after telling Harry she was suicidal to do her makeup, that was a lie. Then you have the next clip.
Really ashamed to say it at the time and ashamed to have to admit it to Harry, especially, because I know how much loss he's suffered. Mm-hmm. But I knew that if I didn't say it, that I would do it.
You guys can go on my channel and watch the video that I put up called Suicidal and the Palace Fights Back. The pictures clearly show that she's smiling, happy. The person who looks totally weirded out is Harry. She claims that she was weeping in the box when the lights went down, but you'll see pictures on there of her leaving the venue with perfect makeup. And to debunk one other thing that she said she couldn't get any help for her mental health. Number one, her mother is a mental health counselor. Number two, Harry and Meghan were part of Heads Together with Kate and William. That is also a mental health thing. And number three, Meghan was being checked on during her pregnancy by top doctors that she vetted and chose on her own. So I'm sorry, I just don't get it. And one more thing, this video popped up on Twitter today. I was disgusted.
Sir, have you spoken to your brother since the interview?
No, I haven't spoken yet, but I will do.
And can you just let me know, is the royal family a racist family, sir?
No, we're very much not a racist family.
As a journalist, I can't believe the guy had the nerve. I am ill. And now we're moving on. It's time for a Finn update. Second of all, I was absolutely so disappointed in myself because we were walking the other day and Finn's new thing is a stop, drop, and roll. He actually stops, spreads himself out, and rolls over. I whipped out the camera. I thought I was getting it on camera, on video, and it turns out I wasn't. But lucky for us, he did it one more time and I did catch it. So here it is. Oh man, I thought all of that was on video, but it wasn't. It was on picture. Wait. He's gonna do it again. That was funny. Stops, down. Let's see if he rolls. I love the way he stretches out. Yep. And over we go. That's his new thing. So I would love to hear your thoughts and get your comments. You know you can follow me. You know you can email me. Don't forget that coffee fund. It's going to be a liquor fund for the next time. And as always, have a great day.